Hello, Allison Verhalen here, coming at you live for today's Marketing Monday. Today, I want to talk to you about using social media to improve your SEO with a big caveat. I am not a social media strategist. I am probably one of the only millennials you'll find who doesn't really like social media. I was the last person in my friend group to adopt Facebook. I literally think my grandma was on Facebook before I was, or if she joined after me, it was not that long after me. So that's what you're dealing with here. I was the last person in my friend group to get on Twitter. I was the last person in my friend group to get on Snapchat. I'm still not on TikTok. I think I'm the only person in the world left who's not on TikTok. So, again, take everything I say with a big grain of salt. I have learned a lot about social media because I had to, right? Once I started my business, it was like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore. This is too important for my business to ignore. So I learned a lot about it. I always say I know just enough about social media to be dangerous, but I am not an expert by any means. I can give you some tips. That being said, there are serious benefits for your SEO strategy to being on social media, which is why I want to talk about some of those tips and strategies that you can use, because I do still see a lot of people missing the basics when it comes to their social media strategy. So let's get down to it. Benefits of social media for SEO. Content distribution is up there first and foremost. It is the primary reason that or method that I use for distributing my content. I do also use my email, my newsletter. That's a whole other subject we can get into. But yes, you want to give Google a reason or a way to, index, categorize your content, figure out what you're all about, match you with those searches. That takes time. Google is, yes, AI powered. Yes, it's a robot. There are also some real live people doing some of the work, but they use AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So it still takes time for them to crawl all of the content throughout the internet, especially when we're talking about something like 4 million blog posts being published every day, right? That's a lot of new content for Google to try to crawl and index and categorize every single day. So it takes some time. So I tend to use social media as a way to distribute my content when it gets out there. That's a great way to drive traffic to your website before Google has a chance to do its thing, right? And Google sees that organic traffic going to your content, and it's going to take that into account while it's crawling your content and figuring out what you're all about. If it already sees that there's traffic going there, it goes, oh, there's already interest in this. This must be valuable. Therefore, we're going to take that into account and rank it a little bit higher. So that's another reason to use social media to distribute your content. I never recommend using social media exclusively because of what we've seen with Twitter, right? Like, I was on Twitter for a long time. I did enjoy it when I first joined. And then I don't know if I got bored with it or what happened, but I kind of fell away from it. I would update it occasionally. I was doing everything they tell you not to do, right? I was scheduling my posts. I wasn't really engaging on Twitter. I kind of forgot about Twitter. Twitter kind of forgot about me. And then it got bought up by a crazy billionaire and everything went to, so I decided to just piece out of that. That's not really where I want to be spending my time and energy right now. So I am not currently on Twitter. But getting back to my point about content distribution, for some of those platforms where you can write longer content like LinkedIn and Facebook, I see a lot of people relying on those exclusively for creating content, right? And getting back to my point about Twitter is that you never know what's going to happen, right? So if you were relying on Twitter for your content creation and distribution, and that's your only avenue of connecting with people, now when things get weird, now what are you going to do, right? So you've lost that channel. So I will say this about social media. Again, don't rely on it and don't have just one channel. I am currently on a few different channels. If you count YouTube, YouTube is, I know we don't think of YouTube as a social media channel because it works a little bit differently. It's more of a streaming service, right? That we all can use. So it is a great channel. Highly, highly recommend it. especially since Google owns YouTube. So keep that in mind. But don't rely on anything other than your own website. You want to make sure you always own your content, right? Because things can always get weird with Facebook and Twitter. And we saw this happen with Facebook, right? Where Facebook shuts down for a day and suddenly no one can get a hold of their people. And it wasn't just Facebook, because Facebook owns Instagram and WhatsApp. So if you were on Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp, you couldn't get a hold of anyone, right? Unless you were also on LinkedIn or Twitter or, one of the TikTok, whatever platform you're on. You have to be on different platforms and diversify your social media portfolio. But that should all lead back to your website. That should be your home base. So I always use social media for content distribution, but not for publishing. I want to get people back to my website. That being said, that can be a little tricky because social media sites, especially LinkedIn and Facebook, really like to keep you on those sites. And Instagram doesn't even really allow for linking in posts, right? You can have a link in your profile, which is great, but that's it. You get one link and that's it. So it can be a little tricky to get people back to your website from social media. The way to get around that, I've seen some people put their link in the comments, so it's not in the post. So the social media algorithm won't downgrade what they're posting because there's a link in there. And it makes sense from their perspective, right? They want to keep people on their site. They don't want to lead people away from their website. So you can't fault them for doing what's best for their business. But for those of us who are trying to get people back to our website, that just means we have to be a little bit sneaky. I'm not sure linking in the comments is really that effective. I think that if that has not already backfired, that might start to backfire. Because we've seen people putting links in comments that are just spam, right? I know I've reported stuff on LinkedIn where people post something on they put a comment on my post that is just spam. So I report it and I block them. I would not be surprised if we start seeing social media sites start to downgrade all comments that have a link in them. Not saying that that's what's happening. I just, having seen the evolution of social media and Google and the ways they mitigate these things, I would not be surprised if that starts happening. So that's one way to do it. You're also making people go work a little bit harder to get to that link, which is always harder, right? I know I've seen this a lot where I'm on LinkedIn and scrolling, and they are announcing their blog post. They've got this cool image. I can't click on the image. That doesn't do anything. They're telling me there's a link in the comments. Now I have to go to the post and go to the comments and find the comment. That's always fun too, especially if there are lots of comments in there. I have to find the right comment, click on it. Now I can get to their post. Now, okay, so you may have increased your visibility, but you're making people work really hard to get to your website. I think the better way to get around that is to create content. The majority of the content you create on your website or for social media should be content that just lives on social media, right? You've got great images. You've got, I use marketing memes a lot because they're fun. Infographics are another way, videos that go live on the site. I know that's a lot of work to do multiple videos every week. Trust me, I know. Here I am doing it because this is what it takes to play by their rules, right? So that is something that you can absolutely take into account, is that content distribution and making sure that you have content that is living on their site. And then maybe one post a week, say, oh, by the way, I have a new blog post, or, oh, by the way, you might want to sign up for my webinar, or I have this thing I'm promoting, or this is whatever it is you're promoting. Choose one thing per week that you are going to use to lead people to your site. Because if all the rest of your content is engaging and people are engaging with your content without leaving the site, then that's going to give more visibility to your profile in general. So that's it. And along with that is brand recognition. The more time you spend online, the more people see your posts, the more brand recognition you're going to gain. Then people will be more likely to click to your website because you've built that know, like, and trust factor. Social media is a great place to build that know, like, trust factor, right? Obviously, you should be building content. And I say this all the time, that the content on your website absolutely needs to have that know, like, trust factor. But it goes the same way with social media, because now people can actually interact with you in a much faster form. Great way to get to improve your visibility and your brand recognition and get that KLT factor that's going to be so much more powerful in converting those leads. Now, this sounds great. How do we use social media for SEO? Okay, now that we know why it's important and some of the benefits that come with it, how do we use those benefits? Create quality content, right? That's one thing that I just said. Again, linking to your website, have that call to action. That I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But again, memes, infographics, pictures of yourself, pictures of your team. We see this where people do interact, engage with content that has pictures of faces, not necessarily animals. Yes, I've been there, done that, where I post a picture of my dog because I don't want to post a picture of myself. Dog gets a lot of likes, but has nothing to do with my business, right? So yes, absolutely, you need to post a picture and create videos with your face, not someone else's face. So unless it's someone on your team, right? I can absolutely make a joke about my dog being my, chief furry officer or whatever, but she's not actually on my payroll. Don't tell her that. So as far as creating quality content, again, infographics are super popular for a reason. People love those, having those engaging images, those carousels, which have become popular on sites like LinkedIn. Again, that's a great way to get engagement. If you ask a really powerful question in that first image and give people a compelling reason to keep scrolling through, you got to give them a reason, right? Because otherwise they're going to keep scrolling down to the next thing. Give them a really good reason to scroll through the carousel to find the next image that you've created. It's harder than it sounds, I know, but it pays off, I promise. Create a schedule and stick to it, just like your blog. I was just listening to this on a podcast this morning where someone was talking about the fact that they met someone at a networking event, right? The email they were given didn't work. It bounced back. They were trying to find them on social media, found that they had not posted anything on social media in months, right? So if someone is looking for you, if they find you, again, they meet you at an event or they find your website, same with your blog, right? If they haven't seen you blog anything in months, they're going to assume you went out of business. If they don't see you post anything on social media, they're going to assume you went out of business and didn't bother to take down your social media profile. So be active on there. Otherwise, people are just going to assume you're not around anymore. Active means at least once a week. I know there are people who say you don't have to post every day on social media. I do post every weekday on social media, Monday through Friday. Sometimes I have a Sunday post, not always. Sometimes I get not lazy, but distracted with, life. And I don't always think to do that, but I do want to make sure I'm posting, 4 to 6 times per week. A week never goes by where I'm not posting something on my social media profiles that I want to be active on. And I want people to remember that, yes, I exist and I'm really here. A question that I still struggle with social media, and you're going to have to come up with this, an answer to this on your own, because I cannot answer this for you. Personal versus company pages. So the social media companies, Facebook and LinkedIn, are big ones, right? Facebook in particular was like, here's your company page, here's your personal page. We're going to keep them separate. Sounds great, except the algorithm also figures, well, people want to engage with real people. They don't want to engage with companies. So we're going to downgrade the posts from company pages. That's really frustrating, right? So you're trying to keep it separate, but when you talk business on your business page, no one sees it. Whereas when you do talk business on your personal page, more people might see it. Depending on the platform, you might get punished for doing that. Facebook doesn't always like it when you do that. LinkedIn obviously doesn't care because LinkedIn is a B2B platform. So it's expected that you're going to talk business on your personal page, which again is one of the reasons I use LinkedIn, because I've gotten really frustrated with Facebook. Also, I don't really think my target audience is on Facebook. So that's a big reason that I've been devoting a lot of time and energy to LinkedIn for my business lately. That's just something to consider. So there are pros and cons there with personal versus company pages. And then I find with Facebook that I'm mixing. I have clients following me on Facebook, which means I don't really want them seeing the stuff that I'm doing over the weekend, because who cares, right? So now I have to kind of monitor what I'm posting over there, because there are some things that I don't want them to see. Whole other conversation we can have, right? So there are pros and cons to that. I recommend, again, talking to someone who knows more about social media than I do, especially when it comes to your specific channel that you want to invest in. Like I said, LinkedIn, personal versus or business page doesn't make a whole lot of difference because LinkedIn wants everyone to expects everyone to talk about business. If you're on a place like Twitter or Facebook, the rules might be a little bit different. So talk to someone who knows about the rules there specifically. Have a call to action, right? This does not necessarily have to be getting people over to your website, right? It can be. And like I said, at least once a week, I think you should encourage people to go over to your website. But it could, I'm doing this video here on YouTube. What do we always hear on YouTube? Like and subscribe, right? That's a call to action. You want the people to take some sort of action that makes it easier for you to continue putting great content in front of them. And then when they're ready to reach out, they'll know to reach out to you. So absolutely, always, always, always have a call to action. Make it easy for users to share your content. So I know you've probably seen, again, I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I still see this with other people who are on Twitter, and they'll have their blog posts and they'll have a box with a snippet from their blog post, and you click on that box and it puts that tweet into your Twitter feed. So that tweet comes from you. And it's a link back to that blog post with that little blurb that they pre-wrote for you, right? All you have to do is click and you've shared that. It's super easy. The easier you can make it for people to share your content, the better off you'll be. Also, I think this goes without saying, but it always bears repeating. Make sure it's quality content. Make sure it is interesting and it answers the questions they have, because then they'll be that much more likely to share it. If it is a value to them, chances are it will be a value to their friends, family, coworkers, whoever it is you want them to share it with. They'll be more likely to share it. And because it's coming from their social media feed rather than your social media, that's going to have that buy-in. It's that social proof of, oh, people are talking about this. This person that I know, like, and trust is promoting this brand. I should go check this out, or at least this piece of content. Super powerful. So any way you can make it easier for people to take action, use it. Take advantage of that opportunity. Next, you also want to optimize your social media profiles, right? I'm sure we've all done that, where you Google yourself. Maybe you Google someone you just started dating. Maybe you Google someone your best friend just started dating, right? Just to make sure there's nothing sketchy back there. Most of the time, what's going to come up is their Facebook profile or their LinkedIn profile, right? Because all the keywords are in there. Just like people are looking for certain products and services on your in Google, they're also searching on social media. So if you don't have a description of what you provide in your profile, they're not going to find you. So keywords absolutely need to apply to your social media profiles as well as your website. Engagement is key. Don't just post and run. Like I said, I did this on Twitter for a while, which is a big reason I left when things got weird, because I wasn't really invested in that platform anymore anyway. And then it was just like another reason to leave, right? So, but on LinkedIn, I'm engaging quite a bit. And I love that LinkedIn has that little bell feature so that I can always get notified. Speaking of which, when I talk about engaging, I don't spend hours scrolling through LinkedIn. I go to my notifications. I look through my notifications to see what's new. If there's something in there I want to learn about, because I find a lot of interesting information that way that I would not necessarily find otherwise. Great way to get that information. B, it's a great way to stay in touch with people that I want to stay in touch with, right? I can ring their bell, right? Click that bell icon on their profile. Now, when I go through my notifications, I see anytime they've posted anything, I can engage with that. That helps me keep top of mind with them. They go, oh, that's right, Allison is still around. I should connect with her, right? It also boosts the algorithm. So when the algorithm sees that you've posted, but you're not engaging, they're not going to boost your content because they know you're not spending time on the platform. When you're engaging with other people's content, it's a great way to let the algorithm know, yeah, I am spending time here. I am seeing other people's posts and engaging with it. That will help boost the visibility of your posts. And also keep in mind that when you engage with people's content, the people that you're engaging with are going to be more likely to see what you're posting, just because the algorithm goes, oh, these people are hanging out together. We should show this person their content because they were looking at their content. Does that can't really ask you if that makes sense, but if it does not make sense, you know how to get a hold of me. You can make a comment in this to this post, or you can email me at info@avwritingservices.com. Let me know if it doesn't make sense. I'd be happy to break it down for you. Or reach out to a social media strategist who knows more about this than I do. But like I said, I know enough to be dangerous. So I do spend a lot of time on the platforms that I care about. Right now, that's LinkedIn and Instagram. I do spend a lot of time engaging with other people's content because I want the social media algorithm to see that, yeah, I'm spending time here. Now, which social media sites can boost my SEO? Again, I'm not on Twitter anymore, but Twitter is still a big one for a lot of people. It still has like hundreds of millions of followers of people using Twitter, and that is only expected to grow. So it can be, and it's older, right? We can talk about the new ones like TikTok. The problem is TikTok is Chinese, and China doesn't get along with Google, so there's not a whole lot going on there. But Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those older, more established um, social media channels, right? The ones that we were first. Actually, I think Twitter was probably one of the first to be not app exclusive, but primarily on the app, right? But I remember using Twitter on my dashboard back in the day. I might be showing my age here, but like Facebook, we had Facebook on the URL on our desktop. We didn't have an app on our phone back in olden times, right? So those older social media sites are more established, which means Google really likes them. And Facebook and LinkedIn have both given Google a lot of access to their content. Same with Twitter. I can't tell you how many times I've looked for information on Google and tweets pop up because people are talking about it on Twitter, and Google is seeing all of that content. So it shows me that information in a Google search, even though I'm no longer on Twitter, right? So that can be a great way to boost your SEO. So that is all that I have for you today. Those are all my tips on how you can boost your SEO using social media. If you have any questions, again, first of all, like and subscribe. Would love to see you come back. But also you can check out my website at AV, as in my initials, Allison Verhalen. I'm over at avwritingservices.com. And again, you can reach me directly at info@avwritingservices.com. That's it. Have a great week and happy blogging, everyone.